I put my name on the document to end the pact, not lock it tight. My dad stared at the quill in my grip, like it was a blade aimed at his core. Then the entrance creaked open, and she stepped in, wrapped in another man's cloak. Late afternoon glow spilled across the stony hollow registry. Dust swirled in the air, ledgers splayed, the iron heater ticking as it cooled. Caleb Frost stood firm by the desk, jaw set, jacket loose from a rough ride. Across from him, his father, Gideon, gripped a folded title to the western field. A spruce token knotted to it with cord. The clerk lingered, antsy. 2 villagers hovered in the doorway, curious if pride or land would come out on top. Hey, if you're enjoying this tale, hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with more stories like this. And quick question, where are you listening from? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know. All right, let's get back to it. Give some hype to this video, and let's dive deeper. When Mara walked in, the room froze. She was slight, worn from a long trek, dark hair bound in a simple twist, hands raw from the chill. A faint wood smoke-scented wrap hung over her shoulders. She didn't glance at Caleb first. She searched for a chair. Nobody budged. "You're intended," Gideon muttered. "Soil is soil. Families need it." Caleb kept his voice even. "I told you no." Mara's eyes flicked to him, steady, not pleading. "I'm not here for fields," she said, words calm. "Your dad owes my keeper for tonics he never paid for. I'm here to settle up, then I'm gone." Villagers whispered. The clerk coughed, uneasy. Gideon shrugged it off. "We trade what we've got." Caleb edged toward the heater, hands open to the fading warmth. "You won't be traded," he told Mara. She met his gaze. No shake in her jaw, just a tired kind of grit. On her wrist dangled a slim thread with a small carved pearl, spruce, smoothed, glossy. She hid it under her sleeve. "What's the pearl?" Caleb asked. Mara shook her head. "My own affair." Outside, wind tore down Broad Street, rattling the tin board. Gideon pressed the title into the clerk's hands. "He'll sign now." "No," Caleb said, sharper. "Not like this. She's not yours." Mara spoke first. To no one in particular. She turned to the exit. "If that's all, I'll walk." Caleb snatched the title, tore it in half, then into scraps. Paper drifted like dead leaves. The clerk cursed softly. Gideon's face burned red. "Boy," Gideon growled, low and fierce, "you just threw our winter into the creek." Mara didn't leave. She stood still watching Caleb. Then the entrance behind him as 3 riders thundered up and the nearest one shouted, "Frost! You gave your word! We're here to collect!" Caleb stepped into the doorway. "From who?" "From the woman," the rider said, "and you if you block us." By dawn, the village had split into sides. Men leaned on posts with tin mugs. Women crossed to the other path with their baskets. And the story raced faster than any wire. Gideon Frost had tied his son to a deal for land. The son had ripped the title. The woman at the center arrived with debts and a past. Nobody used her name. Caleb led Mara to the small hut behind the barn his mother once kept neat. The hearth was cold. He split kindling in silence. She set the pot on the hook and watched the first faint flame. "You don't owe me a roof," she said. "I owe you warmth. After, you can go where you want." A spruce pearl clicked against her wrist as she rolled her sleeve. He looked, then looked away. "Who gave you that?" She stirred the pot. "Someone who said I was worth more than a deal." Yo, we're at a turning point here. If you're hooked, smash that like, subscribe for more stories, and let me know. Where are you listening from? Your comments fuel these stories, so give this video some hype and let's keep rolling. Outside, Gideon's voice rose on the lane. "He'll come around," he told the clerk. "If not for land, then for bread." The clerk nodded toward the village square where Sheriff Callahan pinned a notice, "Settlement by month's end," and her claim on the western field for unpaid debts. 3 riders from the day before loitered by the trough, hired men for a ranch by the stream known for rough hands and fast debt collecting. The oldest, a scarred man named Holt, watched the hut. Patience wasn't his strength. Near noon, Gideon marched to Caleb's gate. "You'll fix this now. Sign with her. We hold the boughs at the chapel. I hand you the field. The village shuts up." Mara stood in the doorway. "I won't be a bargain." "You're nothing without one," Gideon snapped. Caleb stepped between them. "You won't speak to her like that." Villagers gathered. A shopkeeper muttered about tonic debts. A woman whispered Mara was seen near Fort Grayson with army wagons. Another said a child once clung to her skirt in a squall. None of it was firm truth. All of it carried weight. Wind brought the scent of snow from the ridge. The riders dismounted and approached the gate. Holt raised a creased paper. "Contract says the woman's person settles Frost's account if coin fails. Your father signed. She was promised from the start." Caleb looked at Gideon. "You did this." Gideon kept his eyes on the ground. Sheriff Callahan came slow, hat low. "No one leaves with anyone today, not without a court." Holt smirked without teeth. "Then we'll wait." He pointed to the hut. "But the girl stays where we can see her." Caleb tightened his grip on the gate. Mara, pale but firm, said, "Let them look." Then quietly to Caleb, "Lock the back door when they turn away." "Why?" he whispered. "Because they won't wait long, and I'm not the only one they're after." Snow started at dusk, soft and careful. Caleb fed the hearth until the stones warmed. Mara sat on the floor by the fire, wrap around her shoulders, eyeing the door and the 2 back windows like each had its own mind. Outside, the riders drank from a shared flask. Their laughter was thin. Caleb set a tin cup by Mara's knee. "If you run," he said, "they'll follow." "I won't run," she replied. "Not yet." He sat across from her, back to the wall. "Tell me what's true." "The army wagons, the tonics." Her eyes stayed on the flame. 3 winters back, I traveled with a doctor who patched soldiers and ranch hands for little pay. He taught me to boil bandages, dose fevers, clean wounds. People needed him. He needed me to carry. We were square until we weren't. She lifted the spruce pearl with 2 fingers. He gave me this when he died. "And the child they talk about?" Mara's mouth tightened. "A boy at a trader's post. He slept against my skirt while his mother bartered blankets. We shared a bowl of stew. The wind screamed that night. His father accused me of stealing when the boy wandered off. We found him under the spruce. They didn't say thank you, they said leave." Caleb let the silence sit. The fire cracked. "Why did you walk into that registry?" "Because your father came with a sack of promises and an old debt on a scrap of paper. He said if I stood quiet, there'd be a roof through snow." She met his eyes. "I wasn't going to keep it, but I wanted to see the son who'd sign." "You saw him tear it?" Caleb said. "I saw him look me in the eye when everyone else watched the land." They listened to the wind press the eaves. Caleb exhaled. "My mother used to say a home is what you keep warm, not what you fence." "I don't want your fence," Mara said. "I want my name back, then I'll go." Boots scuffed the porch. The latch shook. Caleb rose, hand on the doorframe. "Sheriff?" he called. Holt's voice slid through the seam. "Sheriff went home. Got a chill. We'll watch for him." The latch rattled harder. A window groaned. Caleb grabbed the iron poker and nodded to Mara. "Back room. Crawl space." "No," she said. If we hide, they break the door. If we stand, they think twice. She pulled the wrap tight and stepped beside him. You're not enough, Caleb muttered to himself. To the air, to the father in his blood. Maybe I am, Mara said. Then the window shattered inward and the night poured in. Glass scattered across the floorboards. Holt leaned through the broken sash, pistol low. Another man shouldered the door. Caleb swung the poker, caught the man's arm. The pistol clattered. Mara kicked it under the heater with her heel. Easy, Holt warned. We're paid to collect, not bury. Then collect your coat and go, Caleb said. Snow swirled into the room, thinning the fire's heat. Footsteps thudded on the porch. A younger rider shoved inside with rope. Caleb moved to block, but Holt raised his gun and cocked the hammer. Don't, Mara spoke. You want me. Leave him. Caleb turned. No. She raised her wrist. This pearl is all I keep. Let me give you the rest, and you can tell your foreman you kept your word. Holt glanced at the door, weighing time. Foreman wants the girl seen leaving with us. Mouths to feed, don't care about trinkets. Mara stepped closer to Caleb, close enough he felt the tremble she hid from her face. Then listen. If you haul me out, the village will wake. Sheriff or no, they'll talk. That makes trouble for your foreman later. If you stand us in the chapel tomorrow and watch vows, the village quiets and your contract looks clean. Holt stared. The younger rider snorted. We officiate weddings now? Mara nodded to the hearth. Tomorrow noon. You keep eyes on me until then. If I run, you win. If I don't, you still win your story. Caleb heard the cost in her voice. You don't have to. I do, she said softly, because I won't be dragged. Holt lowered the pistol slightly. Noon, he said. We'll be on the steps. Try the back door and we burn the hut. They pulled back like a tide, glass crunching under boots. Caleb sealed the broken window with a blanket and board. Mara sank to the floor, breathing hard. You gave them a win, he said. I bought time, she answered. Enough to choose. Choose what? She looked at the spruce pearl, then at him. Whether I stand with a man who tore a title or leave every name behind. The village bell tolled 9. Snow deepened. Caleb stoked the fire until the stones hummed. He unrolled an old quilt and laid it by the hearth. Sleep, he said. She lay down without removing the pearl. In the quiet, Caleb heard another sound through the storm. Horsebacks. Too many for 3 riders. He went still. Mara opened her eyes. Who? Not Holt, Caleb said. My father. By dawn, the storm had thinned to a faint fall of flakes. Gideon arrived with 6 men from the western field, faces hard. He didn't knock. He shoved a door and took in the broken glass, the boarded window, Mara standing upright with her wrap tied firm. You'll marry now, Gideon said. The men will witness. Then the land stays ours. Caleb stepped between them. It's not yours to hold me with. Bread is, Gideon snapped. You broke the title. You break the winter. You think the village will feed you for pride? Mara touched Caleb's sleeve once. Let me speak. She faced Gideon. Your contract names me as property. I'm not. But I'll tell you how we all walk out with our heads up. She lifted the spruce pearl. This is a promise from a man who kept people alive in winter with nothing but a box of tonics in his hands. I worked for him. I owe him. Your son doesn't owe you land to pay your debt. You do. Gideon blinked. The men shifted. Wind rattled the patched window. You stand at the chapel, Gideon Frost, Mara said steady. You say I'm free to choose. If I choose your son, it's because I choose him, not your field. Your neighbors hear it. The riders hear it. The sheriff writes it. Your debt is yours alone after. And if I don't choose him? Gideon asked. Then I walk out under my own name, she said. You keep your men, and you keep your hunger to yourself. Gideon looked at the faces he'd built his life on. Pride wrestled with fear and something older. Gideon didn't move or break the silence. At noon, the chapel filled with breath, wool, and the clean smell of snow melting from hats. Sheriff Callahan, pale but present, stood at the front. Holt and his riders leaned against the back wall, arms folded. Gideon watched from the aisle, jaw locked. Callahan read the paper Mara had him write, a statement of free choice, witnessed. No metaphors, no flourish, just lines and names. He finished and raised his eyes. Mara. She stepped forward. She faced Caleb. His hands were empty. No ring, no bargain. I choose, she said, voice even. But I choose with a condition. Caleb nodded. Name it. If I stay, we don't fence each other. We fence a yard for anyone who needs warmth. A pot on the hearth for neighbors with none. We pay the doctor's debt first. Caleb paused a beat. Then, yes. Gideon swallowed. The room exhaled. Holt scratched his chin, almost amused. Good enough for me, he said. Caleb pulled from his pocket a small carved ring he'd shaped that morning from spruce scrap, rough but solid. He didn't slide it on her finger without meeting her eyes. She held his gaze. He nodded once. She offered her hand. Villagers shifted from curiosity to quiet approval. A cradle by the altar, carved spruce, half sanded, caught the light. They left the chapel to a cold sun. On the steps, Gideon stopped them. He tugged off his gloves, old hands raw and honest. I'll work through winter, he said to Mara, eyes on Caleb. I'll pay the debt. Mara inclined her head. Then we all eat. That night, the hearth in the hut burned high. Silence didn't press anymore. It sat with them, like a chair pulled close. Caleb set the spruce ring on the mantel beside the pearl. Outside, wind moved through the spruce by the gate, and the village, for once, had nothing to say. All right, folks, that's the story. If you loved it, please hit that like button and subscribe to catch more tales like this. Where are you listening from? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. And let's give this video some serious hype. Share it, spread the word, and keep the story alive. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.